Republican lawmakers are pushing for a wholly inadequate coronavirus relief package that slices and dices much needed financial aid to Americans while also severely limiting how many Americans actually qualify for this aid that they desperately need. Now, while Biden has proposed a $1.9 trillion coronavirus package, the GOP is offering something far less helpful, $618 billion. Now, it's not necessarily about the price tag, it's about what the packages include. And to be quite honest with you, when it comes to direct relief to Americans, Biden's package didn't go far enough. But when you look at what Republicans are offering, you get a sense of just how cruel their approach is in providing relief to Americans during this pandemic. According to the Daily Poster, the 10 moderate Republicans proposed new $1,000 checks instead as part of their own scaled down coronavirus relief package. Remember that Biden was offering $1,400, and that was controversial because during the Senate races in Georgia, he had promised $2,000. Now, under their proposal, meaning the Republicans, survival checks would go to far fewer Americans than in previous relief bills, only to families who need assistance the most, according to the letter which was sent to the White House. Now, before I give you some more details on how awful this proposal is from these so-called moderate Republicans, let's hear from Brian Deese, who is an economic advisor, one of the top economic advisors to Joe Biden. Turns out that he's actually entertaining this negotiation with Republicans. Here's what he had to say about it.
Are you willing to negotiate any points of your proposal? Or for example, are you wedded to the number, the price tag, $1.9 trillion? Are you willing to come down from that?
We really need to focus on the elements of this package and what they're intended to do. So if we look at the vaccine distribution effort, for example, the money that was passed in December is quickly running down, and we need more resources urgently to stand up the vaccine distribution efforts, the vaccine procurement efforts that we know are necessary if we're going to get our arms around this crisis. So if we want to have a viable chance at getting schools to reopen, we're going to have to provide more resources to schools. And if we don't act now, the cost of that is going to be greater going forward. So we're certainly open to ideas.
We're open to ideas. The answer to that question is no. We reject this proposal from the Republicans in the Senate. Brian Deese also said in that interview, and I want to remind you all that he's the the head of the National Economic Council under Biden. We're open to that idea. We're open to ideas across the board. Just reiterating that he's open to this. He should not be open to it. Now, I have a lot more to share with you, including the fact that they want to cut the amount of money that Americans would be receiving through unemployment benefits from $400 a week to $300 a week. And while Biden has proposed those unemployment benefits extend through September, these Republicans are arguing, no, let's just have them extend through June. So there's significant means testing here, Cenk. There's significant cuts to the amount of money that people would receive in this aid. And again, it should absolutely be rejected, no questions asked. What do you think?
Yeah. So I just want to be super clear on the numbers, and then I'm going to get to the analysis. So for the Democratic plan, each family on average would get $5,600. For the Republican plan, you'd get $3,000. So the Republicans are saying you should get $2,600 less. And that's for the people who get it, okay? Because in the Democratic plan, people making up to $75,000 get it, families up to $150,000 because of two earners. In the Republican plan, it's only $40,000, and then they start phasing it out until you get zero at $50,000. So and that's really important because the Republicans are saying we're doing this plan that is better targeted, right? No, better targeted is just a code word for the rich want to keep their money and they don't want to give it to the middle class that's between basically 40,000 and 75,000 earners. And so they want to keep that money and they don't want to give it to you. They already doubled their own money. They went from rich to super duper rich during the crisis, but they've got no interest in sharing it with the middle class. Now, what of course sickens me as usual is the mainstream media goes along with this 1,000%. Every story talks about this code word of well-targeted relief that the Republicans are talking about. What does that mean, well-targeted? I mean, Manchin lied. Manchin is a so-called Democrat. And he said, I don't want this going to people making $200,000 to $300,000. Mission accomplished, because that's not in anyone's proposal. So that's nothing but a lie. And the media never calls out those lies. So well-targeted means middle class, you're not getting anything if you go with a Republican proposal. Now, you might be surprised at one of my thoughts here. I am not sure. I was not on the show when you guys were mainly covering this. I was never quite sure if Biden was promising 2,000 in total or another 2,000 after the original 600. But either way, this is very clear. If you wanted to get to, even if you wanted to get to the lower number that Biden is now saying, 2,000 in total, you would start negotiations at another 2,000 so that you could get to 1,400 if that was your real goal. Now, everybody knows that. I can't imagine that the Biden administration is that dumb. I mean, because you'd have to be dumb in saying, no, the Republicans are gonna give us everything we want. Preposterous. No, we're not gonna have any negotiations and we're not gonna budge at all. Preposterous. That's not how Biden rolls. So they knew going in, no, we're not even trying to get you to 2,000 total. I'm gonna say 2,000 total, and then I'm gonna negotiate and be open, as Anna just mentioned, be open to the Republicans so that I could, make sure that you get less. Why? Because my donors want you to have less. My donors are super rich.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's incredibly embarrassing for the Biden administration to continue playing games with Republicans like Rob Portman, who voted in favor of Donald Trump's 2017 tax cuts for the rich, costing the US economy $2 trillion over 10 years. And now he turns around and says, no, we actually want to nickel and dime the American people during this moment of crisis because he's allegedly worried about the deficit. He literally had the audacity to make that point. And for Biden and Deese to talk about the importance of bipartisanship right now, this game, okay, this game for, I don't know if it's for Biden's ego to prove that he can do something bipartisan. I don't know where it comes from, but it's trash and he needs to abandon it right away. Because this is the kind of person that Joe Biden is trying to negotiate with. Here's Senator Rob Portman with his nonsense argument about the deficit, which he did not care about at all over the last 4 years.
With regard to the direct payments, we think they should be much more targeted. $50,000 cap for individuals, as an example. 100,000 for a family, and right now, if you look at the administration's plan, you could have a family with 3 kids making almost $300,000 a year, getting a check. And many of these people have had no impact from COVID. In fact, some are doing quite well, others are struggling. Let's focus on those who are struggling. Let's target it. We really want to help those who need it the most. And at a time of unprecedented deficits and debts, and a debt as a percentage of the economy is as high as it's been in our nation's history since World War II. We need to be sure this is targeted. Second, with regard to unemployment insurance, they have a program that takes it until September. We don't know what the economy is going to look like between now and September. Most economists believe next year will be significant growth, over 4% growth. So let's target that a little bit more and make sure that it is tied somewhat to the economic conditions.
Now, this is the same argument they use when it comes to any type of progressive policy proposal, whether it's Medicare for all, canceling student loan debt, this argument that, we don't want the benefit to go to the wealthy, right? They try to pit working people against one another with this notion that this financial aid is going to disproportionately benefit people who are already wealthy or in a privileged position. That is not the case. What they're doing here is promoting additional means testing, which I disagreed with even before with the caps that were proposed before with the CARES Act. And what they're doing is they're basing that means testing on taxes that were filed in 2019 before the pandemic hit. Meaning that it doesn't matter whether you lost your job or got laid off in 2020. Okay, if you made a good income, good living in 2019, well, they want to use that against you to disqualify you from being able to, qualify for this next round of relief, survival checks, essentially. It's absolutely disgusting, Cenk, and I am not even a little interested in entertaining Biden's desire to move forward with this bipartisan effort. Clearly, we're dealing with Republican lawmakers who have no interest in helping the American people. They're far more concerned about doing what their donors want them to do, and they are not acting in good faith, period. Why are we having this discussion?
So let me give you a couple more clarifying numbers, and then I'm gonna go back to again, one of the top problems here, which is the media. They just will not tell you the truth. They will not challenge any of these politicians. So here's the numbers. When Rob Portman says you can go to families making $300,000, it's just not true. Dana Bash should have stepped in right there. Dana Bash should have and said, where are you getting that number from? I've never seen that number. I've seen now a couple of senators make up a number, but it's not in any legislation, it's not in any proposals. So where is it? What are you talking about? Second of all, you say you want it to be well targeted. And so that's why you want to make sure that rich people don't get it. Now you mentioned the number 50,000 as a cutoff. That's true, it is a cutoff. At 50,000, you get zero. That's the max is 50,000, I guess $49,999. At that point, you might get a buck, okay? So the real number where you're getting actual money is $40,000. So are you saying people making above $50,000 are rich, and that's why they shouldn't get money? And if you are saying that, why did you approve trillions of dollars earlier in stimulus relief for the richest corporations in the world? You want to talk about well targeted after you approved trillions for the biggest businesses and the richest people in the world. You approved that, Senator Portman. So let's talk about well targeted, let alone what Anna mentioned, which is, man, it's such a perfect symmetry here. Theoretically, Biden's asking for 1.9 trillion. The Republicans are coming in at about a third of that number as their counter proposal. But 1.9 trillion is also the same exact number that the Republicans cost the taxpayers and the government and the deficit and the debt with their tax cuts for the rich. At that point, even though 83% of those are gonna go to the top 1%, they had no problems with it being poorly targeted. So the lion's share went to their donors, the wealthy, corporations and executives. They're such gargantuan liars. It's such an obvious, overwhelming lie, yet everybody in the media goes, oh yes, of course, sir. Well targeted, sir. Yes, oh, I see the Republicans, and by the way, implicitly the Biden administration, a little less so than them, but they're playing the same game, the neoliberals. They're all saying, and the press goes, oh yes, no, you do not want it to go to the rich. That's why you're limiting it to mainly people making $40,000 or less. Oh, you want to punish the people between $40,000 and $75,000 salaries because they are the rich. But the billionaires are not the rich. No, I see, you're right, Senator Portman. You are a wonderful politician, Senator Portman. I'm so glad to have access to you, Senator Portman. No, it's all a giant, giant lie. You could see it in the articles. You could actually read the numbers in the articles, and then you see the anchors on TV and they say something completely different. And you, in fact, even inside the mainstream media articles, they're like, now the cutoff is 50,000 and 50,000 according to the Republican proposal, you get nothing. But they want to make sure that it is well targeted so it doesn't go to the rich. But wait a minute, you just gave me the number. You said you get zero at $50,000. Where the hell are the rich in that equation? What are you talking about? It doesn't matter. I'm going to show you the numbers so I'm not technically lying about the numbers. And then I'm going to repeat Republican propaganda as if it's true. That's what the media does. That's how they deceive people. No, this is a massive attack against the middle class by Republicans, neoliberals, and the mainstream media.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.